Hey everyone, so welcome to Boosted Motorsports. You guys know that we use lots of tools on this channel, and I'm a big fan of Harbor Freight. They're cheap, and if you know what you're looking for and you're not asking for too much, it can be a good bargain. So in this video, I'm gonna go over 5 of my favorite Harbor Freight tools that I use almost every weekend working on these cars, and they haven't failed me yet. So my number one, and some of these are gonna be a little bit combined, is the jacks. So I have 2 of these Pittsburgh low profile aluminum racing jacks, they call them, but these things are awesome. I have 2 of them because I liked the first one so much. And beside it, you can see the jack stands, both essential if you're working on cars. Guys, if you're gonna be jacking up a car, you definitely wanna have safety stands underneath it. And both are really good quality. They both work well. I use them all the time. I don't have any headaches or hassles. I've even lifted my pickup truck Ram 1500 with it when I had that truck here. So they work great, they last great, and they look great. I mean, for the price, I think they were something ridiculously cheap. They were only like $59.99 with the coupons. You guys know you can get tons of coupons on these things. There's always 20% off. Just put in Google Harbor Freight 20% off and you guys will have coupons all day long. But let's move on to the second one. So my second favorite tool from Harbor Freight is this guy. So this is one of their electric impact guns, and I've put this thing to a beating. And it works well. You don't have to run the air compressor, even though we have the air compressor behind me right there that you can see. A lot of times I just like to use this. It's quick, it's easy. I don't have to wait for the air to charge up. Also for filming for YouTube, I mean, I don't have to have a compressor potentially running in the background while I'm speaking. This thing works awesome. Only thing I will say is, see the clip on the very end right here? That clip tends to come off. And even on other ones that I've had before, the little clip that holds the socket, it's a C-clip, tends to go flying after a little while, but the actual gun itself works great. And you can accompany those with their sockets, and their sockets work just as good too. My third favorite thing from Harbor Freight are their angle grinders. These things are so cheap, I don't even know how they do it. I think they're only like 13 bucks or something like that. These Pittsburgh, or I guess they're not called Pittsburgh, this one's called Drill Master, but it's only like 13 bucks. You can catch them on their sales a lot of times. And this thing works great. It doesn't have variable speed, it just has a simple on and off switch, but I use it with the wire wheel, I use it with cutoff discs, all sorts of stuff, and it works great. You guys can see that I have an assortment of pads and different discs for it, and it's pretty cool. It works great and hasn't let me down, so that's definitely one of my favorite also. My fourth favorite probably has to be these guys, and again, I'm gonna kind of combine these because some of them, I mean, I don't really want to talk about this one just by itself, but this ball joint splitter has got me, split ball joints many times for me without issue. So I don't see anything wrong with this tool. Maybe if you were in a shop where you're using it day in and day out, but just for the average person that has to split ball joints here and there, this thing worked awesome. I did have to modify a little bit. As you can see, I kind of grinded it down to make it a little bit thinner, but I mean, it's steel, it's very simple, it just has a pivot and a bolt, and it works well. This one here, I've used a bunch of times for various things, taking off steering wheels, and I've also taken off, like it says, crankshaft pulleys. I took off the one on the Ram with this, and it managed to take that huge crankshaft pulley off when I was doing the supercharger install or removal. It ended up pulling off the crank shaft pulley on the Ram. This thing works awesome too. Number 5 is a couple of their toolkits are very effective. This one for sure, I would highly recommend the disc brake pad and caliper service toolkit. Jeez, that's a long thing to say, but if I can open it with one hand, this thing, if you guys haven't seen these, are very helpful if you're doing rear brakes or even front brakes for that matter. They can be pretty helpful. And what it does is it squeezes the caliper. You put this thing inside the caliper and it pushes the piston back, and it has all these attachments for every different kind, especially the rear brakes where they have the parking brake and they have that locking mechanism. This will help to turn it clockwise while putting pressure and retract the piston. So this is definitely essential if you guys are changing your own brakes. I would recommend these. I don't think they're that much money, I can't remember, but either way, it definitely does the job and it's well worth the money. The thing below it that you can see, I haven't had this one for too long, but so far it's worked great. It's their tap and die set from Harbor Freight. This is just their metric set. I've tapped all these holes on the body for the fender flares, and I haven't had any issues. I've also cleaned up a few other threads on things as well. And again, if you guys are just using this stuff kind of as a hobby and you're not trying to use these things day in and day out, there is nothing wrong with some of these tools that you can get from Harbor Freight. And at the same time, their warranty is so good, if it does break, you can just take it back anyways. All right, so that's gonna do it, you guys. Those are the 5 things that I would take a look at if you're into tools and saving some money on them. Those are the things that I would look at from Harbor Freight. There are a lot of things that I do use here and things that I wouldn't recommend, but there's a lot of stuff that you can save money on. Even just simple stuff like this board here that we used for mixing Bondo on one of the last videos. I mean, you can't go wrong. It's just a piece of metal. There are some controversial things. Again, I'm going to do that in another video that you might want to avoid or spend a little bit more money on. And some of those things are like these drill bits. Again, these are from Harbor Freight. I've had good luck with them so far, but they probably aren't the most durable things, but we'll save that for the next video. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up for me. It helps the channel and supports the channel. Also check out the other videos on the channel. We have the build on the S2000 going. We've already built the Viper, and we also had the Ram project. Lots of cool stuff already on the channel and more to come. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care.